This is why the world is coming to an end very soon. Well, the end of the world has been a myth carried on for hundreds of years, but recently everything seems Armageddon-ish. From the screaming about global warming, disease epidemics, lethal AI, and depletion of our natural resources, it is becoming hard to predict the fate of humans on this planet. However, the biggest challenge at the moment is global warming. If you didn't seem to care, watch this video until the end and we guarantee you to be a leading pioneer for a change. Number 8. AI overload. We dreamt of flying cars and robot people in this decade, and in reality, artificial intelligence has become a part of everyday life. From the phones we use to the cars we drive, AI has played an important role that humans are starting to become dependent on such systems. AI is doing a lot of good and will continue to provide many benefits for our modern world, but along with the good, there will inevitably be negative consequences. The sooner we begin to contemplate what those might be, the better equipped we will be to mitigate and manage the dangers. They can have built-in bias by those who either intentionally or inadvertently introduce them into the algorithm. If AI algorithms are built with a bias, or the data in the training sets they are given to learn from is biased, they will produce results that are biased. This reality could lead to some consequences. Similarly, there may be new AI-enabled form of terrorism to deal with, from the expansion of autonomous drones and the introduction of robotic swarms to remote attacks or the delivery of disease through nanobots. AI programmed to do something dangerous, as in the case with autonomous weapons programmed to kill, is the one way AI can pose risks. Our law enforcement and defense organizations will need to adjust to the potential threat these present. As is the case with any disruptive event, these aren't easy situations to solve, but as long as we still have humans involved in determining solutions, we will be able to take advantage of the many benefits of artificial intelligence while reducing and mitigating the negative impacts. Number 7. Extinction. A fact you didn't know, more than 99% of all organisms that have ever lived on Earth are extinct. As new species evolve to fit ever-changing ecological niches, older species fade away, but the rate of extinction is far more constant. At least a handful of times in the last 500 million years, 75 to more than 90% of all species on Earth have disappeared in a geological blink of an eye, in catastrophes we call mass extinctions. For more than 3.5 billion years, living organisms have thrived, multiplied, and diversified to occupy every ecosystem on Earth. The flip side to this explosion of new species is that species extinctions have also always been part of the evolutionary life cycle. The Earth is currently experiencing an extinction crisis, largely due to the exploitation of the planet by people. But whether this constitutes a sixth mass extinction depends on whether today's extinction rate is greater than the normal or background rate that occurs between mass extinctions. Today's species losses are driven by a mix of direct and indirect human activities, such as the destruction and fragmentation of habitats, direct exploitation like fishing and hunting, chemical pollution, invasive species, and human-caused global warming. It would likely take several millions of years of normal evolutionary diversification to restore the Earth's species to what they were before human beings rapidly changed the planet. Proof that indeed humans are what is wrong with the planet. Number 6. Depletion of natural resources. Resources are depleted when it's being used faster than it can replenish itself. The Industrial Revolution is when it all began. As our culture advanced and our species invented many things that will make our lives easier, our demand for raw materials increased by leaps and bounds. The problem is, we're using too much and without care. Our planet just can't keep up with our ever-increasing demands. Items that are at a risk of depletion include water, coal, oil, natural gas, fish, and more. Water is life, and even though you see water everywhere, and our planet is 70% water, only 2.5% of that 70% is fresh water. The rest is salt water and not useful to humans at all. That small percentage of fresh water is mostly in the form of ice or permanent snow cover, so we really have only a few percent available for use. The Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations predicts that by 2025, 1.8 billion people will have no water to drink. Another alarming commodity is oil. Without oil, global transportation will be severely debilitated. The BP Statistics Review of World Energy estimates that there's 188.8 million tons of oil left in the known oil reserves as of 2010. If our current demand continues, this oil will only be enough to supply the world demands until 2056. Number 5. Cancer. The number of people around the world who have cancer is rapidly growing, with 18.1 million new cases and 9.6 million deaths in 2018 alone. Researchers estimate in a new report 1 in 5 men and 1 in 6 women worldwide develop cancer during their lifetime, and 1 in 8 men and 1 in 11 women die from the disease. Cancer constitutes a major challenge to development, undermining social and economic advances throughout the world. Approximately 70% of deaths from cancer occur in low and middle-income countries. By the end of the century, cancer holds the second place as a global killer and the single biggest barrier to increasing our life expectancy. Number 4. Bioengineered diseases. Disease has killed more human beings than anything else, any war or natural disaster. But evolution prevents anything that comes out of nature from being both virulent and contagious enough to remotely threaten human extinction. Let's take a look at viral diseases such as avian flu or Ebola. They're proof that nature has a kind of speed limit on disease. So we shouldn't be worried about a virus suddenly emerging and killing us all. Even among animal extinctions, you rarely see that happen. However, what you should be worried about are the bioengineered pathogens which are created in labs through gene editing and synthetic biology. This is a very dangerous tool, especially when in the wrong hands. That's because these tools take what's already a killer in nature and can potentially allow us to bypass the limits of evolution, posing greater risks. Could you imagine someone tampering with something such as the common cold? Splices in virulence genes from the Nipah virus, a real pathogen that exists in Southeast Asia and kills about 75% of people it infects? The result is a supervirus. For lack of a better term, something that can spread like the cold but kill like Nipah. No thanks. Number 3. Natural calamities. Natural disasters are extreme sudden events caused by environmental factors that injure people and damage property. Earthquakes, windstorms, floods, and disease all strike anywhere on Earth, often without warning. Natural disasters reported each year have been steadily increasing in recent decades, from 78 in 1970 to 348 as of 2004. Since 1980 to January 2018, natural disasters caused an inflation-adjusted $1,537.4 billion in damages in the United States. The loss of life in that period, nearly 10,000 deaths, has been mounting as well. The United States has seen more billion-dollar natural disaster events recently than ever before, with climate models projecting an increase in intensity and frequency of these events in the future. In 2017 alone, natural disasters resulted in $306 billion in losses, setting the costliest, deadliest year on record. Violent natural disasters have been a fact of human life since the beginning of the species, but the death counts of the most ancient of these disasters are lost to history. The Mediterranean island of Strogli, for example, is believed to have been completely wiped out by a volcanic eruption and ensuing tsunami that eradicated the entire Minoan civilization around 15,000 BC. How many lives were lost? We'll never know. And now it's time for today's best pick. Today's photo was sent to us by a subscriber, so if you come across a photo online and want to know more details about it, just send it over to us and we might even